Masyadong insulting ito, no? Nakaka-insulto ito, offensive sa ating justice system. Isipin nyo, ang dali-dali makapasok yung mga illegal na mga kriminal.
Kung nakikinig ka man, Mayor Alice, nananawagan kami na umuwi ka na para makatulong ka dito sa investigasyon.
Umuwi ka na, saan ba siya uuwi? Siguro may mga mali siya, may mga bumulong, may mga nag-intriga, kaya tuloy ang napasagot ni VP Sara is parang pinersonal niya. Parang kapareho kasi yan dun sa, uy, pinapa-impeach ka. Pagdating dito sa Kongreso, syempre parang off na kaagad, preconditioned yung mind niya probably na yung mga kaharap niya ay masasamang tao kasi may nang sulsol.
You recognize.
Hello, good morning po. Kaninang umaga po si President Ferdinand Marcos nag-issue ng statement on Alice Go's departure from the country and he said, "Let me be clear, heads will roll." At nabanggit din po niya na we will expose the culprits who have betrayed the people's trust and aided in her flight. At those responsible daw po will be suspended and will be held accountable to the fullest extent of the law. What's your take on this po?
Well, we really support the president, no? Kasi may ongoing investigation. However, we also would like to explore if indeed it is a flight or... Kasi ang contiguous kasi ang Pilipinas din dun sa mga malalapit na islands, no? You can go to Malaysia, you can go to like nearby areas, and that should be explored. And I think that is also where borders can be tightened.
Mag-echo na lang po tayo dun sa statement ni Kong Janet and the President as well. Siyempre, pag may mga persons of interest, lalo po sa kaso na yung nabubuo po na patong-patong na problema sa kakaso, at this point, siguro, pwede na rin i-consider yung option of canceling her passport para po maihatid po siya kung nasaan man siyang bansa. Maibalik po sa Pilipinas kasi napaka-importante po ng mga impormasyon na nalalaman niya at saka yung mga problema kailangan niyang harapin. Yun lang. Thank you.
Ako idadagdag ko lang, no? Yung sinabi statement ni President na heads will roll, no? Doon ako para sa akin nakaka-insulto po 'yon sa just sa justice system ng ating bansa. I am more concerned really of how she was able to fly out of the country. Kaya, yeah, or sabi nga ni Ma'am Janet, baka naman gumamit ito ng barko. Marami kasing any mode of transportation. But the point is, tama yung sinabi ni Ma'am Janet, yung border patrol natin and yung lahat ng ahensya ng gobyerno na dapat ay kasama po natin para ma-secure kung sino man yung may mga culpability sa mga ongoing investigation, especially if the investigation is ongoing. There've been efforts from PAOK-TF, from NBI, and these law enforcement agencies have had sizable information to really bring down those who are involved in the illegal activities in relation to POGO, no? Dapat po ang expectation natin is all those agencies, no? Ang Bureau of Immigration, all of the agencies that may have something to do with keeping keeping those who have been linked to this investigation, keeping them within our grasp. Doon ako nawo-worry. Kaya nga I think the President sa statement niya, sinabi po niya very clear. At saka it's a marching order, and a caution also to those who are working in the agencies na may have something to do with her flight, no? Yung she was able to manage to go out from the country, that really indeed mayroon po dapat mananagot dito. Dahil hindi ako naniniwala na nakalabas lang ho siya on her own walang assistance from those who may have something to do with this investigation, especially the agency. So doon ako mas concerned, and I will fully support the President. Kung sino pa man yung involved dyan, dapat talaga managot.
Siguro in a short addition lang po, no? Aside from that, I think this really highlights po yung social ills that POGO brings. Kaya nga po importante yung Quadcom. We see that it's not just isolated to the issue of whether or not this person is able to run, whether or not this person is able to evade the law. But it speaks of yung nakakasilaw po talaga yung POGO. It seems to be, it is corruption manifest. in whatever branch of government. Nung una, while we were investigating, akala po natin sa Bureau of Customs lang po ito. Tapos nakita po natin, there are allegations na baka nasa PNP. Ngayon, mukhang it is very possible. Like we said, kagaya pa ng sinabi ni Conggarin, we don't know yet the specifics. So we don't know kung talagang issue po ito sa immigration or baka lax yung Coast Guard. Kasi contiguous ang Malaysia, you could take a boat ride, I think, from Zamboanga. It's not that far. Pero if they find, in support of, sa sinabi ng Presidente, if they do find that this is by virtue, this is made possible by corruption, then indeed heads must roll. And going back sa Quadcom, it really shows po, no, na it's now in BOC, we're talking about PNP, and now possibly even BI for immigrations po. So we really have to remain vigilant, and we support definitely the call of the President to look into this pressing matter. Ano po?
Dagdag ko lang, no? That's why ang sinabi po namin, sinabi ko po, masyadong insulting ito, no? Nakaka-insulto ito, offensive sa ating justice system. Isipin nyo, ang dali-dali makapasok yung mga illegal na mga kriminal na mga gumagawa ng mga bogus and fake legal documents para mag-operate dito. Tapos ang bilis lang din makalabas yung mga taong kailangan managot. So it's really insulting, no? That's how the POGO corrupts the system.
Ganun na rin kasi yung ginagawa ng mga illegal na pumasok dito ng yung mga Chinese dun sa POGO. Parang ganun na rin yung ginawa ni Mayor Alice Go eh. So kung nakikinig ka man, Mayor Alice, nananawagan kami na umuwi ka na para makatulong ka dito sa investigasyon. Importanteng harapin mo yung mga aligasyon at napaka-importante po nung mga impormasyon na makukuha sa'yo. Parang para ako nasa, ano ba yun? Eye to eye? Nabutan niyo pa ba yun?
Kung paano nga uuwi, hindi nga Pilipino, no? Just to put things in the proper perspective, kasi pag sinabi natin, umuwi ka na, saan ba siya uuwi? No, and it brings me, idagdag ko lang kasi narinig ko, I heard the comments of my colleagues. Maganda nga yung hinaing na umuwi ka na, but the problem is, saan siya uuwi? Because the documents, as alleged, points to the fact that she's not a Filipino. Moreover, yun nga yung paulit-ulit naming katanungan, especially when I saw the facilities of POGO. Alam na alam ng buong mundo na banned at mortal sin at talagang kinukulong at iba nga talagang fina-firing squad sa China ang mga involved sa POGO. So why was this allowed in our country? Bawal na bawal siya doon. Lahat ng involved sa POGO ay hinuhuli, tinatanggalan ng citizenship, ina-outcast ng China. Bakit nilegitimize dito sa Pilipinas? Parang binuksan, we have a lot of trading partnerships with China. Kaakibat sila dito sa ASEAN. But what happened in the previous administration ay buksan yung bansang Pilipinas para papasukin yung mga wanted naman at illegal sa China. So that's actually one also of the problems. So I think Alice Guo can also shed light on the group or the people who used her and pave way for putting in the Philippines illegal operations like this na nag-mushroom na nga sa maraming bagay. Napunta na sa loan scam, napunta na sa love scam, napunta na dun sa mga kidnapping and many others. So we're looking forward possibly to the Quadcom hearing again tomorrow and in the coming weeks and months, because this will put in place, matutumbok ano ang dapat natin gawin para hindi na maulit. No, na yung mga illegal na bagay sa ibang bansa ay dapat illegal din sa Pilipinas. Kasi matatalino ang mga Pilipino, and our beloved country is not worth being a haven of criminals from other countries.
Salamat po.
Thank you. I'd like to acknowledge Gab Lalu from Inquirer Online for his questions.
Hello po. Balik lang po sana ako kay Vice President Sara Duterte dun sa hearing po kahapon sa Senate. Kasi po nasabi ni Vice President, kailangan daw po ng tighter security sa NAIA. Kasi merong media worker na hindi naman dapat nandoon sa area na siya raw yung kumuha ng pictures niya nung papaalis siya ng papuntang Germany. Then she also claimed that police officers removed from her security were actually people she knew for a long time, posing another security issue. What can you say about her concerns po regarding privacy and safety? Considering that she is still a public official, and sumobra po ba yung scrutiny? Kasi feeling niya personal na yun eh, kasi kasama na yung mga anak niya. What are your thoughts on this po?
Me personally, I have full respect no, to the Vice President. At tama naman na dapat secured yung airport, marami tayong mga security na, but not for the purpose of securing a certain person or a certain family. Yung security kasi ng airport is there to secure all the passengers and to maintain peace within our country kasi ang airport mukha ng turismo yan. Now, on the issue of the alleged person taking pictures, it's a problem kasi talaga it's a public place eh. You know, when you enter a public place, you expect many people to be there. So, kung may kukuha ng picture, minsan nga pagka pumupunta ka, maraming, syempre sila, kilala siya, sikat sila. Maraming pupunta yan, ma'am, makikipicture naman. It's something that is expected in a public place. So, if we need to beef up security, it's because of if there are threats or we need to secure the area because we have more tourists coming into the Philippines. Not because a certain individual got a photo. Kasi minsan nga kumakain ka na dun sa isang restaurant, biglang pipicturan ka. We even hear stories about people inside a building or inside a hotel. Pagkatapos merong mga malalakas na camera, yung what they call the paparazzis. No? These are part and parcel of the risks we face as government employees and government officials. So, I myself, with due courtesy to the Vice President, wouldn't blame the setup of an airport because it's a public place. Even pag sakay mo sa aeroplano, may dadaan dyan ng mga kasama mong pasahero. Pwedeng may sikretong kumuha ng picture kasi ganun talaga ang teknolohiya sa panahon ngayon, lalo na public place siya.
Parang hindi naman, for me, hindi siya public concern eh. Kasi hindi naman nagre-reklamo yung mga regular na tao about security. It's a personal concern. I think when she was in the airport, siya pinaka-secure na tao siguro doon sa kung halimbawa may 1,000, 2,000 tao sa airport, siya ang pinaka-secure siguro na tao doon. So, of course, she's the Vice President. Kailangan may security siya. Wala namang question doon. But, parang personal concern eh. Parang may special treatment ka na nga as the Vice President. Kulang pa ba yun? Parang kulang pa ba? So, hindi naman pwede lahat ng maliliit na problema o personal concern mo, sisisihin mo ang national government for its shortcomings or inadequacy. Para sa akin, tingin ko it's more of a personal concern.
Po, just in support po for colleagues here, no? We agree with their statements. Yun nga po, yung issue po nung sa NAIA, when it comes to security, this is, of course, security is the first and foremost concern of any airport, whether it be yung issue natin mga laglag bala, or threats against people in the airport, or kahit bomb threat, alam po natin kung ano kabala, or bomb joke pa nga po eh. But if we're going to talk about yung security of one's privacy, yun nga po, tamang yung punto na yun. It's a public place, we can't really expect much privacy. We can't expect privacy as private persons. Paano pa kaya as public officials? So talagang possible po na mangyari yun. If there are lapses in security, siguro meron po talagang dapat managot dyan. But if I understand correctly, kayo po, ang aming kaibigan sa media, nasa industry po kayo, may beat reporter po talaga sa NAIA po, di ba? It's precisely to pick up news and information such as this. So I'm not sure kung talagang may lapse na yun. So, yun lang po siguro.
On my part, I agree with Congresswoman Garin. No, first and foremost, we have to discuss security and privacy because I believe this may be, these two may share the same, characteristics, no, privacy and security, no, very thin line. When we talk about security, I would really support any move or any proposal to secure public places, especially airports, no, where people from different walks of life, inbound and outbound passengers, converge. No, definitely, it's one of the things that we need to maintain the security of all our public places. But in terms of privacy, this is something as a public servant. Kasi sa Pilipinas po, there seems to be an interplay between a public servant a public official and that of a celebrity, no? Unfortunately, here in the Philippines, in many other countries, the people feel that they own a percentage of a degree of those individuals who may have something to do with a job that may have something to do with affecting the lives of ordinary people. So once you enter into public service, you somehow surrender a certain degree of privacy, unfortunately. And that's been the problem not only of one individual public official, but it is actually shared by all of us. Once you do enter into this kind of service, you automatically, deliberately or not, automatically share your life to the public. And the public also enjoys a certain, I don't know if it's imaginative, a certain power over you. That whatever you do, either publicly or privately, they tend to feel that they have a right to know everything that you do. So parang ganun po. So let's separate the issue. Security, we support. Privacy, it has something to it is something that we, all public officials, have to manage on our own and deal with that kind of everyday life in reality, that somehow when we enter a public place, there will always be individuals who may recognize you and who may take pictures of you, either selfie or otherwise. So tama po yung sinabi ni Kong Jan, I agree. Let's support any move to secure our public places, but in terms of private concerns, privacy, that is something that we, all of us, public officials, not all of us are celebrities, but all of us public officials have already from the start realized na meron talagang pagkakataon na mapipicturan ka sa mga public places, and it is something that we need to settle on our own privately.
Sir, regarding my second question, kahapon po kasi medyo naging mainit nga rin yung discussion sa budget ng OVP sa Senate. May exchanges between VP Sara Duterte and Senator Risa Ontiveros. Next week po schedule yung OVP dito sa House Committee on Appropriations. Can we expect at least yung level lang ng scrutiny? For example, yung libro na authored daw by the Vice President na scrutinize kasi kailangan daw ng 10 million just to publish it. What can you say about this po?
I think the Vice President's, the OVP's budget briefing is scheduled on August 27, okay. Well, in a budget briefing, any question can be thrown as long as it's still related to the budget. Because when we deal about the budget, we're talking about where taxpayers' money are going to. Nagulat din kagabi nga when I was about to rest and retire in bed, I got the surprise of my life when I saw the exchange between Senator Risa Ontiveros and the Vice President, Ma'am Sara Duterte. Kasi parang alam mo siguro merong galit sa loob na nakakimkim, and then pagdating doon nagkakaroon ng mali siya sa bawat because if like there's a question on there is a book, then the answer can be yes and no, and you can expound kasi the office of the Vice President has all the powers to identify their priority programs. Let's say if you're publishing a book to teach children morals and values, especially if these are Filipino values, then that's good, no? I think naging controversial lang siya because medyo naging unlikely. I mean, we've seen a lot of budget briefings, no? And usually what the question is being answered. What happened yesterday in the Senate is something that should not be copied in future budget deliberations. Kasi medyo, I mean, especially for the younger generation watching, medyo pangit tingnan Kasi ang deliberasyon, pondo ng gobyerno. Saan napupunta ang buwis ng bayan? You can always answer, merong libro, kailangan yan, because it's teaching children morals and values. And friendship is actually part of mental health. Friendship is part of existing as a human being. Imagine kung tao ka, wala kang kaibigan, ang kausap mo, kaharap mo araw-araw, sarili mo lang, medyo luluwa ang tornilyo noon. So, there could have been a purpose because it will not be a priority of the office of the Vice President. I think what went wrong was that the answers were not geared towards answering the question that was being propounded. So siguro yun yung, at parang pangit tingnan na, for me personally, ang nakita natin dun is nagkakasumbatan, parang may mga sumbatan ng mga, parang naalala ko yung mga panahon na may LQ nung aking kabataan, yung mga ganyang bagay na. So this kind of deliberation does not really have a place in a legislative place.
Ma'am, just to follow up, do you think yung mga tanong ni Senator Risa Hontiveros were warranted? Na parang, kasi sabi na nga nung ni Vice President, pinupolitika raw. Pero do you think the questions were really about the budget or the proposed budget?
When we have budget briefings and budget deliberations, you look at each line item. O ito, ginamit ba ito pambili ng office supplies? Ito, ginamit ba ito para sa travel? Ito, ginamit ba ito para sa mga employees? Ganun eh. So, if there's an item there pertaining to the publication of a book, then almost always, there will be a legislator who will question that. Siguro may mga mali siya, may mga bumulong, may mga nang-intriga, kaya tuloy ang napasagot ni VP Sara is parang pinersonal niya. Parang kapareho kasi yan dun sa, uy, pinapa-impeach ka, uy, pinapa-impeach ka. Pagdating dito sa Kongreso, syempre parang off na kaagad, preconditioned yung mind niya probably na yung mga kaharap niya ay masasamang tao kasi may nang sulsol. That's why as government officials, it's really very important for us to be wary about the sulsuleras and the mga marites because these are good to accept and palusutin kung mali because they will also have their own vested interest. In this case, baka na before pa siya dumating doon, merong mga nag-intriga, kaya tuloy ang pananaw niya, maski anong tanong, akala niya politicized. But you know, in budget briefings, talagang you just ask about each program. Why? Because if it's a good program, if it's teaching our children morals and values, then Senate can augment that. Eh baka mamaya kulang yung 10 milyon na yun, especially now, no, na yung mental health ng ating kabataan is not that resilient. Well, if you have a book talking about friendship, yung mga nasasandalan mo sa panahon na kailangan mo, eh baka kulang yun, baka kailangang dagdagan. What is the book all about? Then sasagutin lang at kung hindi naman kailangan at tama na yun, sasagutin din. But the discussion segued to other issues that were not within the bounds of what was discussed. So it was a correct question answered in the wrong way and it mushroomed into many more misunderstandings.
Dagdagan ko lang siguro, wala pa kasi akong copy rin ng book so hindi ko pa alam. Pero kung nabasa siguro nila pareho yung libro, baka naging friends pa sila. pero hindi friendship eh. So, pero ang masasagot namin naman po is on the part of the House. So, dito po sa House of Representatives, syempre pag may schedule na po yung budget briefings ng House, kailangan po yung agency na haharap. Kung sino man po yan or sinong head ng agency, dapat po nakahanda sila kasi nakahanda din po yung House para sa budget briefings. Maraming salamat.